There are moments in life when you look back and realize that something invisible has been holding you together. Not success, not strength, not wisdom, something deeper, something holy. You cannot fully explain why you are still standing, why your heart still beats with hope after everything that tried to crush it. But you know this much: your life has been preserved by more than chance. You have walked through seasons that should have erased you. Seasons where the weight was too heavy, the nights too long, the prayers too weak. There were moments when your faith barely whispered, when all you could do was breathe and survive. Yet here you are, still alive, still searching, still listening. That is not an accident. According to Scripture, God does not randomly preserve lives. When He intervenes repeatedly, when He rescues quietly, when He shields silently, it is because a life has been marked. God's seal is not something you earn after you get everything right. It is something He places because He has claimed you. Long before you understood who He was, He knew who you would become. Long before you could articulate your pain, He had already written your survival into His plan. This is why even when you tried to run from Him, something always pulled you back. This is why sin never fully satisfies. There is a reason your conscience is sensitive, a reason your spirit feels restless when others seem comfortable living without God, a reason you cannot shake the feeling that your life carries weight. God's seal creates a holy tension inside the soul. It does not allow you to blend in, disappear, or settle for a small existence. It reminds you, even in silence, that you belong to heaven. You may not feel powerful. You may not feel worthy. You may feel worn down by years of disappointment, failure, or delay. But God does not seal people because they are strong. He seals them because He is faithful. The seal is not proof of your perfection, it is proof of His ownership. When God places His mark on a life, He commits Himself to that life's preservation, correction, and ultimate fulfillment. This is why the battles were intense. This is why the pressure felt personal. The enemy does not fight what is unmarked. He fights what has been claimed. Yet through every attack, every setback, every season where it felt like you were barely holding on, the seal remained. What God seals cannot be stolen, erased, or revoked. If you are listening to this now, drawn the meaning of God's seal in the Bible. When the Bible speaks about a seal, it is never symbolic in a weak or poetic sense. A seal in Scripture carries authority, finality, and identity. In biblical times, a seal was placed by a king or an owner to declare three unchangeable truths. This belongs to me, this is authentic, and this is protected by my authority. Once a seal was set, no one else had the right to interfere with what was marked. To break a seal was to challenge the power behind it. When God places His seal on a life, He is making the strongest possible declaration heaven can make. This is where many people misunderstand the seal. They think it is a reward for holiness, something God gives only after someone proves themselves worthy. Scripture shows the opposite. God seals first, then He shapes. He claims first, then He corrects. He marks first, then He matures. That explains why God has been patient with you in ways you do not fully understand. Why He corrected you instead of discarding you. Why He disciplined you instead of abandoning you. A sealed life is not exempt from correction. It is guaranteed correction. God does not discipline what He does not own. The seal also explains why your life has been preserved through chaos. There were moments when everything around you fell apart, yet something held. Relationships broke, plans collapsed, confidence disappeared. But you remained. Shaken, yes. Scarred, yes. But not destroyed. The seal was doing its work. This is not about spiritual superiority. Being sealed does not make you better than others. It makes you accountable to God in a deeper way. It means your life carries responsibility, purpose, direction. God does not seal people to live casually. He seals them to live intentionally. If you have ever sensed that your life was being guided even when you were lost, restrained even when you were reckless, protected even when you were unaware, this is not imagination. This is the quiet power of God's seal at work. It is the reason your story did not chosen before you were aware. If God has put His seal on your life, it did not begin the moment you believed. It did not start when you prayed the right prayer or finally understood Scripture. It began long before you had language for faith, long before you knew how broken you were, long before you could even imagine God's hand on your future. The Bible reveals a truth that humbles and steadies the soul at the same time. God chooses before He reveals, and He marks before He sends. This explains why your life has always carried a sense of difference that you could never fully define. Even as a child, even in your earliest memories, there was something in you that did not settle easily. You may have tried to blend in, to live like everyone else, to silence the questions stirring inside your heart, but they never completely went away. You were not restless because you were lost, you were restless because you were chosen. God's seal works quietly at first. It does not announce itself with power or spectacle. It shows up as resistance to emptiness, as discomfort with darkness, as an inner voice that refuses to let you fully belong to what does not align with God. Even when you wandered far, something in you knew you did not belong there. Even when you made choices you now regret. Being chosen before you were aware also explains why God intervened in moments when you did not ask Him to. Why doors closed that you were determined to walk through. Why certain relationships ended even when you begged God to save them. At the time, it felt like loss or punishment. In truth, it was protection. God guards what He has sealed, even when the sealed one does not understand what is happening. There were moments when your life could have taken a very different turn. One decision, one night, one conversation could have altered everything. Yet somehow, something always shifted. A delay, a disruption, a sudden change of direction. Looking back now, you can see it was not random. It was the unseen hand of a God who had already claimed you. Being chosen before awareness also means God never abandoned you during your worst seasons. You may have felt distant from Him, even angry with Him, but He never removed His hand from your life. The seal did not lift when you doubted. It did not disappear when you failed. God's claim over you was not dependent on your consistency. It was rooted in His character. This truth is not meant to inflate pride. It is meant to anchor humility. You were chosen not because you were impressive, but because God is intentional. You were marked not because you were strong, but because God had purpose in mind. And even now, as you listen to these words, the same God who chose you before you were aware is still guiding you forward, patiently unfolding what He has been preparing all along. You may feel late, you may feel behind, you may feel like you missed your moment, but a sealed life is never off schedule. God does not rush what He has chosen, and He does not forget what He has marked. Your awareness is catching up to what heaven decided long ago. Marked for protection, not for comfort. When God places His seal on a life, He does not promise ease, He promises preservation. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, because part of us wants the seal to mean safety from pain, exemption from hardship, and a smooth path forward. But Scripture tells a deeper story. God does not seal people to keep them comfortable. He seals them to keep them alive in purpose. Protection in the Bible rarely looks like avoidance. More often, it looks like survival. You were not spared the storm. You were sustained in it. You were not kept from the fire. You were kept through it. That distinction matters, because it explains why your life has been hard in ways you could never fully explain to others. There were seasons when you prayed for relief, and it did not come. You asked God to remove the weight, to silence the pain, to change the circumstances, and yet the season remained. At the time, it felt like God was distant. In truth, He was guarding something deeper than your comfort. He was guarding your calling. Comfort would have made you settle. Protection kept you moving. If God had removed every hardship, you might have lost the sensitivity of your spirit. If He had given you ease, you might have confused peace with stagnation. Instead, He allowed pressure, not to crush you, but to shape you. The seal ensured that the pressure would not destroy what it was refining. This is why you came close to breaking but never fully broke. You bent, you wept, you questioned, you doubted. But something in you refused to disappear. That was not resilience born from personality, it was preservation born from promise. God does not allow what he has sealed to be wasted by circumstances. A sealed life often walks a narrow path, not because God enjoys withholding, but because the path itself protects what is precious. Detours that would have distracted others were blocked for you. Opportunities that looked good on the surface were denied. Not every no was rejection. Many were rescue. This kind of protection can feel confusing, even painful, especially when you watch others thrive in spaces you were denied access to. But what you could not see then, you are beginning to see now. God was guarding you from becoming something that would have cost you your purpose. Protection also means limits. God sets boundaries around sealed lives, not to restrict joy, but to preserve identity. That is why certain compromises never sat right with you, why certain shortcuts felt wrong even when they worked for others. Your seal would not allow you to live casually with things that endanger the soul. You were not marked to live softly, you were marked to live securely, and there is a difference. Comfort fades, protection endures. What God protected you from, and what he protected you through, will one day make sense. Until then, the seal remains, quietly doing its work, ensuring that nothing you endure will ever be greater than the purpose God placed within you. The seal that the enemy cannot break. When God places his seal on a life, it does not go unnoticed in the spiritual realm. The enemy recognizes what heaven has claimed. This is why the opposition in your life often felt targeted, persistent, and deeply personal. It was never random. The intensity of the battle was not a reflection of your weakness. It was evidence of the value placed on your destiny. The enemy does not fight what he already owns. He fights what he cannot have. From early on, there were attacks designed to discourage you, distract you, or derail you completely. Moments when confusion clouded your mind. Seasons when fear tried to define your decisions. Times when your confidence was systematically dismantled. The goal was never just to hurt you. It was to make you forget who you belonged to. But here is the unshakable truth. The seal of God is not fragile. It is not worn down by time, trauma, or failure. It is not revoked because of mistakes. What God seals is secured by his authority, not your performance. The enemy may accuse, but he cannot claim. He may threaten, but he cannot possess. He may resist, but he cannot override. This is why certain attacks did not succeed even when they should have. Why plans against you fell apart at the last moment. Why traps you did not even see never fully closed. You were spared things you will never know about, because the seal acted as a boundary the enemy could not cross. There were times when you blamed yourself for how hard things became. You thought you were doing something wrong. You wondered why life felt heavier than it seemed for others. But the resistance was not punishment, it was proof. Proof that your life mattered beyond what you could see. Proof that something in you threatened the enemy's plans. The evidence of the seal, conviction, calling, and endurance. God's seal is not something you have to guess at forever. The Bible shows that when a life is truly marked by God, there are signs, not loud or dramatic, but consistent and unmistakable. These signs do not prove perfection, they reveal ownership. And if you look closely at your own story, you will begin to recognize them. One of the clearest signs is conviction. Not condemnation, not shame, but an inner awareness that corrects you when you drift. You cannot live comfortably in what separates you from God. Even when you try to ignore it, something inside you speaks. Your peace fades, your spirit grows heavy. That is not God pushing you away, that is God pulling you back. Conviction is not a curse, it is evidence that you are still under his care. God corrects what he claims, and he disciplines what he loves. Another sign is calling. You may not have language for it. You may not know the shape it will take, but deep down, you sense that your life is meant to serve more than survival. You feel drawn toward meaning, toward impact, toward something that goes beyond comfort and recognition. Even when you resist responsibility, the pull remains. Even when you tell yourself to settle, something in you refuses. That restlessness. Then there is endurance. This may be the most overlooked evidence of all. You are still here. After everything. After heartbreak that rewired your trust. After disappointment that drained your hope. After seasons where giving up felt easier than continuing. You did not emerge unscarred, but you emerged. And that matters. Endurance is not stubbornness. It is grace at work when strength runs out. Many people had the same opportunities, the same resources, even the same faith language. They quit. They hardened. They disappeared. You didn't. Not because you were better, but because the seal would not let you go. There were moments when you thought you were surviving on your own willpower, but in reality God was sustaining you underneath it all. When you had no clarity, He gave you breath. When you had no answers, He gave you time. When you had no strength, He gave you endurance. The seal was working quietly, holding you together while you thought you were falling apart. These signs are not meant to make you proud. They are meant to make you aware. Awareness changes how you live. It shifts you from questioning your worth to recognizing your responsibility. God has been patient with you not because your calling is small, but because it is significant. He has allowed the process because He values the outcome. If conviction still speaks to you, if call, why your life still matters right now. If God has placed His seal on your life, then your story did not reach its conclusion when things slowed down, when doors closed, or when seasons changed. The seal does not expire. It does not weaken with age, time, or delay. God does not preserve lives just to keep them breathing. He preserves them because purpose is still unfolding. There is a quiet lie many people begin to believe after disappointment or long waiting, that the most meaningful part of their life is behind them, that their usefulness has passed, that their role has diminished. But Scripture never supports this idea. God does not think in terms of used up. He thinks in terms of appointed time. If you are still alive, still aware, still being drawn toward God, then your life still matters. Right now, not someday later. The seal on your life means heaven still has intention attached to your breath. There are people who will never hear truth the way they can hear it from you. There are lessons that cannot be taught by theory, only by lived experience. And you carry both. Everything you have endured has given your voice weight. Pain refined your compassion. Waiting sharpened your discernment. Failure stripped away illusions and left wisdom in its place. These were not wasted years, they were preparation years. God often matures sealed lives in obscurity so that when they speak, their words carry authority rather than noise. You may feel like your opportunities are fewer now. You may feel like the world has moved on. But God does not measure impact by visibility. Some of the most significant assignments happen quietly, in conversations, an example, in obedience that no one applauds. A sealed life does not need a stage to fulfill its purpose. Your presence matters. Your prayers matter. Your faithfulness matters. The way you choose integrity when it costs you matters. The way you forgive when bitterness would be easier matters. Someone is watching your life who may never tell you. Someone is being influenced by your perseverance more than you realize. God did not protect you through everything you faced just to set you aside. He did not preserve your heart just to let it go unused. The seal on your life means there is still something entrusted to you, and it does not require youth, perfection, or strength, only willingness. Right now, where you are, as you are, God is still working. He is still positioning. He is still using what you thought disqualified you. The seal declares that your life is not an afterthought. It is still part of the plan. Living like someone who is sealed by God. When you truly understand that God has placed His seal on your life, it changes how you move through the world. You stop living as though your life is accidental or disposable. You stop treating decisions lightly. You stop making peace with things that quietly erode your spirit. Awareness brings responsibility, and responsibility shapes behavior. Living as someone who is sealed by God does not mean striving to appear religious. It means becoming intentional. You begin to guard what God has marked. You recognize that your thoughts matter, your words matter, your choices matter, not because you are trying to earn God's approval, but because you already belong to Him. Ownership changes posture. You do not live carelessly with something that is claimed. A sealed life learns to listen before reacting. You become more sensitive to the quiet prompting of the Spirit. There are moments when you feel a gentle restraint, an inner nudge that says, "Do not go there," or "Do not speak that way," or "Wait." This is not restriction. It is guidance. God does not micromanage lives He does not intend to use. You also stop negotiating with sin. Not because temptation disappears, but because compromise costs too much. You have seen what disobedience does to your peace. You know how quickly small concessions grow into heavy burdens. The seal reminds you that temporary pleasure is never worth long-term damage to your calling. You choose differently, even when no one is watching. Living sealed also means standing firm when obedience makes you misunderstood. There will be moments when your values isolate you, when your restraint is mistaken for weakness, when your faithfulness looks foolish. But you no longer measure success by approval. You measure it by alignment. You would rather walk alone with God than be surrounded by people while drifting from Him. A sealed life carries quiet confidence, not arrogance, not entitlement, but assurance. You know who holds your future. You know that delays do not cancel promises. You know that setbacks do not erase purpose. This confidence allows you to endure seasons that would break someone who is living only for the present. Most importantly, living sealed means staying available. You do not need to have everything figured out. You simply remain open to correction, open to growth, open to being used in ways you did not expect. God often works through willingness more than readiness. The seal is not just something God placed on you. It is something you now honor with the way you live. Each step of obedience, each act of faith, each decision to choose. Conclusion: if God has put His seal on your life, then nothing about you is accidental, not your survival, not your struggles, not even the seasons that felt wasted. The seal is heaven's declaration that your life is claimed, watched over, and carried forward by a purpose greater than what you can currently see. You were never just passing through this world. You were never overlooked. You were never forgotten. There were times when you questioned whether God was still involved, whether your prayers still mattered, whether your obedience was making any difference at all. Yet through every season of doubt, the seal remained. God's silence was never absence. His delay was never denial. He was working beneath the surface, preserving what mattered most, preparing you for moments that required depth rather than speed. Your life has been shaped by fire, refined by waiting, and strengthened by endurance. These were not signs of rejection. They were evidence of ownership. God does not invest this kind of care into a life without intention. He does not guard breath without assignment. The same hand that sealed you is the hand that is still guiding you forward, step by step, even now. You may not know exactly what lies ahead, but you do not need to. The seal does not promise clarity, it promises faithfulness. It promises that what God began, He will complete. It promises that nothing you endured will be wasted, and nothing assigned to you will be missed. So stand where you are with quiet confidence. You belong to God. Your life is marked. Your future is held. And when all is said and done, the seal on your life will testify, not to your strength, but to His unchanging faithfulness.